Good morning. I'm pleased to give you some news today again at CCAfrica news broadcast that we do on a regular basis. This morning it's a bit of a more difficult subject. It's about the Millenium Development Goals. We could talk about it for a long time, but I just want to give you some of the snapshot news that came out about a week ago in Addis Ababa in giving the result for 2012. Just a minute of history. It was those 8 goals were approved in 2000, and they are targeting the result as put together, the goals, for 2015. They are unequal in terms of progress and in terms of result at this point in time. And the world is a bit divided on the question. Many think that the goals won't be attained, met, and I think they are right. In some area it's problematic. In other area it's moving in the right direction. And just to talk about the one that are moving at this point in time in the right direction, I think we can cite the question of universal primary education. Most of the countries, I think, will get there. There is still a problem, which is in many countries, and this is not in regard only to primary education, but also to a number of other goals, like such as maternity, health, and child debt, and so forth. This problem relates to the issue of urbanization versus rural world. There is no doubt that more money is spent in the urban context of developing countries than in the rural. So what you see in many of those goals, lesser progress when it comes to the rural environment of the developing country of anywhere in the world, in Africa or elsewhere. You go to Africa or you go to China, you will find the same situation. Some part of China are very rich and some part of China are quite poor, and they still have some poverty. If I take another example, which is even clearer, it's the question of alleviating poverty, and the word they call it, the way they put it, is they would like to have achieve universal, eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. That's the MDG, or the Millenium Development Goal. That's the first one. It's interesting to see how it progress. It is making progress, but not as fast as it should. You know, in 1990, 58% of the population of the developing countries were considered at that level of extreme poverty. And in 2005, it went down to 51%. So you will say, well, that's progress, but I'm not sure it's going to get in 2015 to half of it. Half of it would have meant about 30, 29%, 28%. The expectation at this point in time, it will be about 36%. Why it's progressing? Because it's progressing. I mean, nobody can question the progress of that. Is that many countries, particularly in Africa, have enjoyed over the last few years a steady growth of the GDP. This year it's going to be about, again, over 5 to 6% in many countries, and in certain countries even double digit. So the question of poverty is making progress, but it's still far from being there. The primary education, again, it's unequal. It depends on the country. If you look at the numbers, you will find that some countries will meet it, some won't. The question of reduced child mortality, it's moving in the right direction. Many people believe that it might not meet the goals there also. I will finish. I won't go through all of the 8 Millenium Goals, but one that I want to finish with is the question of the development partnership, the ODA question. ODA question is an interesting one because it's, you will remember that the governments had decided as a goal that we should have 0.7% of our GDP going to ODA, international development aid. That's the case for certain countries, but very few countries. At this point in time, we stand to about 0.32, which is about less than half of the objective. Also, on the question of aid, we have to notice one thing, is that because of the financial crisis around the world that we have witnessed for the last couple of years, the global aid total amount of money being disbursed for that objective is diminishing and not increasing. And that's unfortunate. I look at the Canadian government, for example. It decided to cut aid in the current budget. Even though it doubled aid in the last few years in Africa, it's starting now to reverse that trend in general and cut aid by $375 million. I also read recently that there is the same amount of pressure on the European community to do the same, to do the cuts, or at least not to increase aid. So it's going to be difficult for developing countries when it comes to ODA. At the same time, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, they are enjoying a rapid growth. And that may compensate, and the long term is better with economic development than aid, and everybody agrees with that. So I encourage you to come to our site, and we'll put the full report that was published in Addis Ababa about a week ago, and you'll be able to consult the report. And please feel free to send us comments and views that you may have on what I said and on what you will find in the report itself. Thank you very much, and talk to you in a few days. Bye-bye.